They told you money was numbers. They told you it was paper, coins, digits on a screen. They lied. Money is energy. It's movement. It's belief, crystallized into form. It flows not to those who chase it blindly, but to those who have tuned their minds to receive it, to create it, to multiply it. And the most dangerous prison you will ever face is not the lack of money in your bank account, it's the lack of permission in your subconscious mind. Because deep inside, behind all the education, the advice, the hustle, there is programming. Some of it you wrote yourself. Most of it was written for you before you knew how to hold a pen. Words you heard as a child about people like us. Lessons from parents who struggled and made that struggle your inheritance. Media that painted wealth as greed, success as corruption, ambition as arrogance. Your subconscious is the gatekeeper. It controls the flow before the river even reaches you. And if your gate is rusted shut with fear, guilt, and shame, it does not matter how many hours you work, you will always sabotage the harvest. Look at the giants of history. Edison wasn't born with the blueprint for a light bulb. Carnegie didn't enter the world with steel in his hands. Henry Ford had no college degree. But they all shared one thing, a mind programmed to expand instead of retract, to ask, how can it be done, instead of, why it can't be done. They rewrote their code from scarcity to abundance. You must do the same. The reprogramming starts not with wishing, but with confronting. You must drag into daylight the beliefs that have kept you broke. Write them down. Money is hard to get. Money changes people. I'm not the type who gets rich. Every sentence is a virus in your mental operating system. And until you uninstall them, you will keep living by their commands. But awareness is only the demolition. Construction comes next. You must feed your subconscious with the new architecture of thought, repetition, vivid imagery, emotional intensity. You see, the subconscious doesn't respond to logic, it responds to identity. If you still see yourself as the struggler, you will find a way to struggle, even with $1 million in your account. If you see yourself as a creator, a multiplier, a steward of wealth, you will find ways to create, multiply, and steward. When Carnegie was a poor telegraph boy, he would walk the streets imagining himself in fine clothes, speaking in great halls, commanding industries. That wasn't delusion, that was training his subconscious to recognize wealth as normal, not foreign. What is normal to you, you keep. What feels alien, you lose. So stop treating abundance like a guest who visits rarely. Make it your permanent resident. Speak to yourself in the language of ownership. Stop saying, I can't afford that, and start saying, how can I make that possible? Your brain will obey whichever question you give it. Feed it questions that open doors, not ones that bolt them shut. And yet, there is a paradox. You cannot be desperate. Money senses desperation the way animals sense fear, it will run from you. You must hold the vision with calm certainty, the way a farmer plants seeds knowing the harvest will come, without digging them up every day to check. The subconscious thrives on consistency. Feed it wealth daily, in thought, word, and deed, and it will become your default reality. But thought alone is not enough. You must align action with the new program. If you see yourself as a person of value, you must create value. If you see yourself as a person of excellence, your work must reflect excellence. You cannot affirm prosperity while practicing mediocrity. You cannot speak abundance while delivering the bare minimum. And this is where most falter. They want the mindset of a billionaire but the habits of a bystander. Understand this, the subconscious reprogramming is not a mental game. It is a lifestyle game. What you do daily becomes what you believe, and what you believe becomes what you attract. Ford once said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. But here's the part they don't quote. Ford backed his belief with relentless experimentation, failure after failure, until the Model T rolled into history. Belief without discipline is fantasy. Belief with discipline becomes inevitability. You must act in alignment with your new wealth identity before the evidence shows up. That is the test. When you carry yourself like a success before the world sees you as one, you are telling your subconscious, this is who I am now. And the subconscious will move mountains, seen and unseen, to make reality match the identity you've claimed. Discipline is the bridge between the wealth you imagine and the wealth you hold. Without it, even the most powerful reprogramming collapses under the weight of inconsistency. Discipline is not about punishment. It is about allegiance to the vision you have chosen. It is the daily reaffirmation to your subconscious that you mean what you say. The ancient Stoics understood this. They trained their minds to endure discomfort, to resist the easy path, because they knew that the mind takes its cues from experience. If you repeatedly choose comfort over challenge, your subconscious will associate effort with danger and retreat from it. But if you choose discipline over impulse, your subconscious will rewrite its wiring. I can do hard things. I am the type of person who follows through. This is why some people rise in any economy, while others sink in abundance. It is not the market, it is the internal market of their thoughts, habits, and responses. Your mind is always negotiating with itself. Will we take the easy road today, or the road that leads to mastery? And every choice you make deposits evidence into the bank of your identity. Think of Rockefeller, building an oil empire while others complained of chaos in the industry. His discipline was not only in his work ethic, it was in his thinking. While competitors were swept away by panic, he trained his mind to see opportunity where others saw disaster. That kind of mental conditioning does not happen by accident. It is forged in the fire of disciplined focus. But life will not hand you a smooth path to your fortune. You will be tested. You will be tempted to break your own rules when results do not arrive on your timeline. This is where resilience becomes the great separator. Resilience is more than bouncing back, it is bouncing forward. It is the refusal to let a setback become a new identity. Most people, when they fail, make the mistake of telling their subconscious, see, I knew I wasn't good enough. And so the programming deepens, the scarcity hardens, and the money flow shuts down. The resilient mind speaks differently. After the loss, after the rejection, after the collapse, it says, this is data, not destiny. This is a step, not the end. Edison, after thousands of failed experiments with the light bulb, didn't program himself with defeat, he programmed himself with the idea that every failure was simply a confirmation of progress. This is not motivational fluff, it is a conscious technique. The subconscious does not care about the truth. It cares about repetition and emotional charge. If you repeat, I am unstoppable, with enough conviction, it will accept it as fact, and your actions will rise to meet it. If you repeat, I'm cursed, with the same conviction, it will accept that too, and you will sabotage yourself without realizing it. Adaptability is another law of the money flow. The world changes. Economies shift. Technologies disrupt. Fortunes rise and fall. If your subconscious is locked into one rigid image of how wealth must arrive, you will collapse when the method changes. The adaptable mind is not attached to the vehicle, it is attached to the destination. Look at Disney. Before Mickey Mouse became an icon, Walt Disney faced bankruptcy, ridicule, betrayal. His first animation studio failed. But his subconscious was programmed with a vision larger than the form it took. He adapted, innovated, and kept moving toward the feeling state of the empire he imagined. Your subconscious must be trained to see wealth as a current. It will flow through different rivers, different industries, different channels over time. If one dries up, the adaptable mind does not mourn, it digs another channel. Scarcity says, the opportunity is gone. Abundance says, the opportunity has changed its shape. And yet, all of this, discipline, resilience, adaptability, would be hollow without vision. Vision is the magnet that directs the subconscious. Without it, your mind becomes a reactive machine, responding to whatever the world throws at it. But with vision, every thought, every habit, every action becomes a thread in the fabric you are weaving. Vision is not just a goal, it is an identity projected into the future. Andrew Carnegie did not merely want to be rich, he saw himself as a builder of nations, a shaper of industry, a man who would rewrite the skyline. That vision gave his subconscious a target so vivid that every decision became obvious. Does this move me closer to my vision, or further away? Your vision must be so alive in your mind that it becomes more real than your current circumstances. You must be able to close your eyes and live in it, not as a wish, but as a memory from the future. The subconscious cannot distinguish between imagination vividly felt and reality deeply experienced. If you feed it a vision with emotional intensity, it will treat it as fact and bend reality to match. The question is, will you take control of this programming? Or will you keep letting old voices, old failures, and old fears write the script for your life? Gratitude is the hidden key that turns the lock on every other principle. It is not a soft sentiment, it is a weapon against scarcity. When you train your subconscious to feel wealth before the evidence arrives, you dissolve the vibration of lack that repels opportunity. Gratitude tells the mind, we are already abundant. And the mind, always obedient to its dominant instructions, seeks out proof to match that statement. When Carnegie gave away vast portions of his fortune to build libraries and schools, he wasn't weakening his empire, he was reinforcing his identity as a man who had more than enough. His giving was not an afterthought of wealth, it was the very foundation that allowed it to keep flowing. For the subconscious, generosity is the language of abundance. Hoarding, on the other hand, whispers to your inner mind, we may run out. And so scarcity becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Gratitude also shifts your attention. The subconscious is a gardener, it multiplies whatever seeds you plant. Focus only on what's missing, and you water the weeds of lack. Focus on what's present and growing, and you accelerate the harvest. This is why two people can live in the same circumstances, one building wealth, the other drowning in debt, because their subconscious minds are tending to different gardens. But gratitude must be paired with motion. Too many use gratitude as a comfortable place to rest instead of a platform to leap from. The subconscious thrives on momentum. Each action, no matter how small, is a declaration to your inner mind, I am moving toward more. This movement keeps the flow alive, keeps the channels open. Action does not wait for perfect conditions. The subconscious, like a muscle, strengthens through use, not through theory. Waiting for the right time, the perfect plan, the guaranteed outcome, this is how opportunity rots. The wealth builders of history acted when the ink was still wet, when the outcome was still uncertain. They trusted that their subconscious, trained to think in abundance, would find the way as they moved. And then, there is courage. The courage to take risks, to stand in uncertainty, to face the voice in your head that screams what if it doesn't work? And answer with what if it does? This is the final frontier of subconscious reprogramming, the place where you must step beyond the old limits, not in thought alone, but in lived reality. The truth is, you will never feel completely ready. You will never have total assurance before you leap. That is by design. The leap is what reprograms the mind. The leap is what tells your subconscious, we are no longer who we used to be. And when you do, when you think, speak, and act from the new identity long enough, the shift becomes permanent. Money begins to flow in ways you could not have plotted on a chart. Opportunities appear not because they weren't there before, but because your mind can finally see them. Your subconscious stops rejecting them as too much or not for someone like me, and instead embraces them as natural, as inevitable. This is when the game changes. No longer are you chasing money, it begins to chase you. No longer are you trying to force wealth, it becomes a natural consequence of who you are. The subconscious, once your greatest obstacle, becomes your greatest ally. But hear me, this is not the end. This is the beginning of a new cycle. You will not arrive at some final mountain where you can set down your tools. Abundance is a living force, and living forces require movement. The moment you stop growing, the flow begins to slow. The moment you stop expanding, the gatekeeper starts closing again. So keep reprogramming. Keep expanding the vision. Keep feeding the mind with thoughts, images, and actions that match the reality you've claimed. Live in gratitude, walk in discipline, adapt without fear, rise from every fall, and move with the certainty of one who knows that wealth is not something they chase, it is something they command. And when doubt tries to return, when the old programming knocks on your door whispering, "Remember who you used to be," you will smile. Because you will remember who you have become. And from that place, from that identity, you will speak a command to your subconscious, a command that will echo through every cell, every thought, every choice. The flow is open. The river is mine. And I will never close the gate again.